Good evening, everyone. It's 8 o'clock, and that means that AR Dot Watch is back for more from Expedition Alaska Day 3. It is our 8 p.m. live update, and we should get some really good guests this hour. I am hoping that Jeff, the race director, is going to come in, so be prepared to ask questions. Go on to the Facebook Live on AR Dot Watch. I'm going to be monitoring it on my phone. So as you are watching, if you have questions that you want to ask the race director about teams, about the course, about anything, like you just let us know. That way we can ask him when he comes on. We might get a drop in or two from some guest commentators. They're going to talk about what's going on, what they've seen, what they might think of what's going on. And then I think we're going to get Mark Harris from Adventure Enablers on to talk a little bit about tracking tonight. So we hope to have a little bit of everything tonight. But I want to start off with some getting into the dots. So let me pull it up. First of all, I want to apologize earlier. I thought that the video was showing and that was my error. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video once I was able to post it. So I'm pulling up the tracker, and as you can see, everyone is out on the bike course. So the last two teams, Fragile Flowers and 5060 Adventure, got in and out of TA pretty quickly. And we actually have Jeff joining right now. So we'll talk to him because he was able to see them and see how they were doing. Jeff, are you on? It says he's trying to get in. It's not letting him in yet. Oh, there he is. Hey, buddy.
Hello. Hello.
How's it going?
It's going good now. We've shut down TA4 and just opened up TA5.
Excellent. Well, I mean, look, in an hour or so, you're probably going to have your first guests.
Oh, yeah? What guest am I going to have in an hour?
I mean, maybe this ability, I don't know how far it is from that last checkpoint to you.
No, it looks close, but it's not.
Yeah, maybe they're not going to get there by the time we
Yeah.
get done. So no, I was just telling everyone that everybody's out on the bike course.
Yep.
So tell us about Fragile Flowers and 5060 when they came into the TA. How were they feeling? What were their spirits like? Are you there?
Yeah, yeah. It's reconnecting. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. So what was your question again?
So when Fragile Flowers and 5060 came into transition, how were they?
Oh, yeah, they were very, very happy that they basically slept for like an hour at TA3 and didn't get on the water until the sun came up, and now they had a beautiful paddle down the river with the sun up and everything. It was really, really a great time for them. They were just super excited.
Yeah, I'll post the picture of JD. This is not JD's first
Yeah.
pantless photograph at one of these
No.
races. So when you told me that he lost his underwear, I got to question that a little bit. But it's good to see that they were in good spirits. When the last time that
His underwear on.
he what?
Nowhere he didn't know where he lost them.
That's adventure racing. You're racing really hard when you lose your underwear and you don't know where you lost them. So, hey, when we last were talking at the TA, Mad Cow and we
Yeah.
Go Live Your Own Adventure were taking off out of there, and there were still a couple teams there. I think Ron's team, the Breaking Butterflies was still there. How quickly after that did they get out, and how were they feeling heading out on this bike?
everybody came in and took an hour or two nap there. It was on the side of a major road, so it wasn't that great of environment for sleeping. So people just really took a short nap and really wanted to get out on the Resurrection Trail because once the sun came up, it's clear skies today. There's not a cloud in the sky. So everybody wanted to really get up top over the pass during the sunlight.
Yeah, and Hunter was saying that there are some cabins that are up there that if you wanted to stop, like they are just up there for hikers and whatever to stop. So, I mean, if they didn't get a good sleep there, maybe they could stop at one of those cabins and get an hour or so.
Oh, 100%. There, it's kind of like hiking the AT. Every 5 miles there's a shelter, but these are full on cabins that have a door and windows, and you can go inside, and it's nice and warm, and as long as there's nobody in there, you could definitely crash and stop and chill out, which is really neat.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like people are moving pretty good. This ability has kind of held their own. They've held off bones, even with what looks like that Jesse Spangler pointed out that they look like they made a food stop in Hope. Um,
Yeah.
which that doesn't surprise me that Chip would seek out food in a local area there.
Yeah,
Um,
prior to the race starting, I told them the locations that they could stop and get food, and Hope is one of them. And then over here at TA5, Whittier is another. And then as they leave here and head towards Alyeska, right on the corner as they make the turn is one of my favorite bakeries called Alpine Bakery. They make a $5 donut. And
okay, what is on a
it's
five
the
dollar donut?
it's the size of a small grapefruit, and it's filled with jellies that are here from local, like salmonberry jelly,
Wow.
um, blueberry, all these things, all this cream inside coated with chocolate. It's about 500 to 1,000 calories per bite, you know?
That sounds amazing 4 days into an adventure race. I mean, let's be honest, that probably sounds amazing an hour into an adventure race for me, but um so that
Yummy place to eat.
yeah, so and then Warrior's been moving pretty good. They look to have been keeping, I mean, it's really hard to tell the time distance. Let's see. The last CP that Bones and them both went through was 19. Bones
Yeah.
went through it at about 12:53,
Yeah.
and Warrior went through it at 3:32. So about 2.5 hours time difference. So they're kind of holding that gap or extending that gap a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
Ranger Up looks like they're moving really good. They're almost to CP19 now. So they're moving good. And then right behind them, there is a group of about five. So you've got um, Coast to Coasters, the Breaking Butterflies, Go Live Your Adventure, Florida Extreme, and Mad Cow all in the same area. So I wonder if they just have a big caravan. So that's what I'm picturing right now, and it looks like Jeff had a little issue. Up there on that trail, Jeff. Oh, we might have lost him. It looks like it's reconnecting.
Yeah, just I'm not in the best environment out of here in Alaska, wilderness for
I know.
for Zoom meetings.
So up on that trail, are there places that teams can get lost? Because it looks like it's pretty straightforward.
There's nowhere to get lost. There's Devil's Pass, which comes down once they crest over, basically where that group of teams are right now, heading up the pass. There is one rogue trail there, not rogue trail, but there's another trail that bombs off to the right. But it's so obvious that you're going the wrong way because the Resurrection Trail is marked kind of like the AT, a bunch of blazes. And other than that one trail, there are no other trails. I mean,
Okay.
the trail system in Alaska is this one or none.
Which is, it's I think that's good or bad, depending on where you are mentally in a race, to be able to shut off mentally and just go forward. Or if you're like, man, I am not doing anything, like I'm gonna go through like a couple maps before I get to the next checkpoint. Like sometimes I know that can be frustrating too. So um I'm sure that teams now are just like, hey, let's just band together and get through this.
Yeah.
So, but it looks like everybody's moving good. Did it looks like Mark went with the last teams. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, so he's going to be our safety sweeper behind the last two teams, and as he helps them and basically is there in case anything goes wrong during that second. That's a very hard place to rescue anybody. So we basically have a safety person out there for that last team.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So he gets to experience a little bit of the course and gets to be out there for the safety of everyone. So
Yeah.
that's exciting. Um,
Yeah.
Somebody was asking me earlier, well, I think you had mentioned earlier what everyone's favorite food was so far. But what are they going to be looking forward to when they get to this TA? So talk about what the favorite food of the race has been so far.
Definitely the burgers. The burgers have been always. It's always a big hit. Even with you at C to C, if you get a big fat freaking burger, man, that's just like so good. Um, the the other favorite is I made my famous pasta. So that is a very big hit, and it's basically marinara sauce combined with Alfredo sauce to make a creamier Alfredo, if you want to consider that. And
Okay.
it's got lots of veggies inside. So and it's warm. So when they come, man, they just devour that. Hot chocolate. Holy crap! We've gone through. There's only 44 people, but we've probably gone through 300 packages of hot chocolate.
That would be my go-to because I'm not a coffee guy, and a lot of people, they'll get that caffeine and go through coffee, and I'm like, I can't even stand the like a sip of coffee.
Yeah.
So I would have been the hot chocolate too. What are they looking forward to as far as food at this TA?
This TA is hot dogs.
All right. Yeah,
Nothing fancy. It's a quick, easy way for them to just pump down some shitty calories and move on. But this one happens to be hot dog, and think about a TA is open 24 hours. So we have basically a lunch and dinner combo, and then we switch over to breakfast when it starts to get at night because they love breakfast. So we actually have some pancakes for them in the morning that they're going to have. So.
that's good. And so after this big long bike leg, so let's talk about the bike leg first. So they go up
Yeah.
Resurrection Trail, they hit Hope, and they come around. What is that like? Is it back up again and around to where you are? Because it looks
So
like
yeah, so it's a little bit of a climb out of Hope, but it's a just a small road that they have to come up. And it's just got a little bit of climb. And then basically where that one dot is, I can't that is that this ability making the turn?
yep, that's this
Okay.
ability right there.
So they're cresting the top right now. And they're right now they're on a rails to trail. So there's actually a bike trail there.
Nice.
And so they're on the rails to trails right now. It's a little bit of
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of climbing. They got to go up in this re-entrant here for CP21 and then kind of come back down the mountain and get over to the
the
TA.
single track.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's where the climb starts.
Okay. And then
Now, after 21 will be the best bombing 5 mile downhill of the entire event. So the last 5 miles of this is going to be the most fun. It's the most groomed trail with banks and whooping corners and just bridges going over the water instead of them having to go through the water with their bikes. So they're going to have a blast that last 5 miles. And then they come out into the Tourniquet Arm where that's moose country. So they're probably going to be biking out in the fields and see a bunch of moose and then get to TA5. So it's going to be an epic finish to that big bike leg.
And so there, I would imagine, most teams are going to get there either, well, I think the lead teams are going to get there right around dark time. They'll only have about 4 hours of dark. How is that going to impact this last paddle section? I might have lost him there. How is the dark gonna impact this last paddle section, Jeff?
Whittier and Portage Lake, it's a big giant open bowl. And since there is no clouds in the sky, there's not really going to be any darkness. It basically dark here is blue skies, like dark blue, like a bright moon in Florida is our night is like.
And what is this paddle section like? Because it's really hard to tell on. Oh, let me see if I can go to the satellite map.
Yeah, go to the satellite map, and so they're gonna. The first checkpoint is they're gonna walk up to the base of a glacier. So that checkpoint there is the last one you see in the water.
Okay.
That's the last one. They
Do
can't
they have
get
to go
that.
in order?
Yeah, they have. Well, they don't have to go in order, but you can't get to that one by. That's only by the river.
Okay.
So you have to paddle down the river from 26 to get 27.
Gotcha.
You can't I mean, you could swim across that river and bushwhack all through that just horrible stuff to get to it, but that would be a waste of time since you're going to be at 26 anyways, and you're
Right.
in the packraft. You might as well just stay in the water and float on down. The idea is you're floating down out of this section just like the last paddle. You're floating out down the river to the next TA, which was TA4.
So they'll trek up to 22, which
Check
is,
up the 22. It's the base of a glacier.
but they will carry their pack rafts with them.
Yeah.
And then they'll cross this other section here on foot. Is that also kind of glaciery?
No,
No?
that Mark's track is wrong. They would never go up over that mountain to get to that next. They're going to go down to the lake and inflate, and then
Okay.
paddle over in front of Portage Glacier,
Gotcha.
and that's where you're
That's
going to
just
see
going to
the
be
epic
gorgeous.
shots. That what?
I said that's probably going to be gorgeous, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's gorgeous, and that water is about 35 degrees.
don't flip in that section.
No.
But and then when they get there, they'll have to go up and back down, probably.
No, see, that's wrong as well. Yeah. There is a trail alongside the lake, so they might deflate there and then go up and up over into Whittier. I guarantee you that some people will stash
Okay.
their pack rafts. I think that they're going to find a tree hidden away, some bushes. They're going to stash their pack rafts so they don't have to carry them up and over to Whittier,
Yeah.
to the overlook, and then have to basically come back, find their pack raft, and inflate it again for the return down the Portage Lake and down the river to get 26 and 27.
But I think what I'll do when it gets to that point is I'll actually pull up the PDF of the maps so people
Yeah.
can see the maps that they're going off of, and we can kind of do a little nav session to show that, so it's not just looking at the tracker. It's difficult when you go back and forth. So
Yeah.
let me see. I haven't seen any questions. Let's see.
I've been talking to Mark about integrating, our maps into the track that Mark does. I mean, Mark's computer basically just guesses at what the route would be,
Yeah.
and it always picks the as the crow flies route, which is always wrong. You see that in races, you're like, why are they not following the route? No, you don't understand. That's Mark Harris's guess.
Right.
Like and obviously here you would not go up and over a mountain to get that point when you could just go back down where you came and inflate your pack rafts, because that's going to be the most epic for racers, is that they're going to have to navigate around a couple of icebergs to get over to that next point, because they're going to be right in front of Portage Glacier. And that's where those sightseeing tours basically pull right up to the front of the glacier, and they watch those fall off and stuff. So
That's awesome.
it's going to be.
You sent me a message earlier that you had a visitor at the TA. Is that you want to tell everybody about that? If you're not frozen. We'll
Are
wait
you
till.
wearing a sweat?
Am I wearing a what? It's a golf shirt, Jeff. It's a golf shirt.
Okay, it looks like a sweater from the 80s, like a National Lampoon Vacation sweater.
I love it. It was colorful. It's really comfortable. Um, so
Oh yeah.
tell us about the visitor that you guys had at the TA earlier.
You mean the bear?
Yes, the bear.
So, and of course that you cannot leave stuff out in the open. You can't eat half of a chocolate bar and then throw it on your bin and then take off, on the trek. You can't leave that smell in the air. Well, I had a curious bear come down sniffing, and he pretty much paced around the encampment trying to see what was going on. He smelt some stuff, but ultimately he was just a black bear, so he wasn't interested and he left. But yeah, he definitely came down and took a peek at us.
How big was he?
Uh, you see something in Georgia, it's about 300-400 pounds. This one was about maybe 400 to 500 pounds.
Nice.
Wasn't a grizzly. A grizzly, you can hear. It's so quiet out there. You can hear a grizzly come from a mile away. They sound like a damn train.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like I have this all behind me, and today in my memories came up. This time in 2014, I was actually competing in Canada at Ironman Whistler, so not too far from you. But and there was bear sightings on the racetrack during the Ironman, where people had to basically stop their run because it was crossing the run path. So it'll be interesting to see how many teams or how many racers actually had bear sightings during this.
We haven't heard of any at this point. There was a lot of bear scat, a lot of bear trails, but ultimately Bones or whoever's out in the lead is going to be the one that encounters bears. Once they go through in the air, and bears pretty much run out of that area. So all the middle of the pack and the back of the pack teams probably won't encounter anything because there's too many people, too much activity.
Awesome. I think Mark Harris is going to join us here at some point. We're going to talk a little bit about the tracking and uh, his envy for not being there right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's some people make good choices, some people make poor choices, and we're we're glad that to have his trackers, because I know I've gotten a lot of messages from people at home talking about how much they have appreciated the fact that they can see and know what their teams are doing, and so it's such a big help having them. And one of the things that I haven't really talked about on any of the broadcasts yet is that this is the Adventure One World Cup
Yeah.
final. And
Yeah.
there's so much to talk about. We haven't even discussed that this is the Adventure One World Cup final. And so this is a big deal. This is like the World Championships of Adventure One. So we're excited to have that, and they've been reposting. So we hope that people who have been following along from Adventure One are enjoying the coverage as well. And guys, listen, this race is gonna be back in 2026. And we hope that everyone will be signing up for this epic adventure. And I mean, Jeff, I know we talked about it on the AR 101 early on about the Alaska. Like, it's going to look completely different than this race because there's just so much to do out there. And so many different ways that you can lay out the race course.
Yeah, there's, I mean, the square footage, the miles of trails out here and the miles of mountains and this different. I could have put 1,000 checkpoint locations here, epic. They would all be amazing and beautiful. And I had to narrow it down and pick just 36. I was like, all right, I can't go crazy because I'd be out here for a month trying to set this course. So there's still a lot of beautiful things out here, and there's a lot of beautiful ways to see them. I'm really, really glad that we had good weather. Now it's clearing up and it's pretty much sunny as can be out here. Nick Huff's got his shirt off. Hunter's got his shirt off. They're out there in the sun working, setting up TA5, and it's warm. Now, when I say warm, it is 68 degrees.
Hey, that's like a heat wave there, though. And
Yeah.
And listen, Nick doesn't need an excuse to take off his shirt. That boy will take off his shirt at any. So
I guess so. Yeah, it's great to see this. We've got a fantastic crew here, by the way. Nick and Mark were supposed to race. Fantastic crew here, by the way. Nick and Mark were supposed to race. Here you go. Nick and Mark were supposed to race.
Got a lot of.
Well, that's me.
Hello, Mr. Harris. Well, I don't know what that.
Hello.
It caused Jeff to freeze. Mark's coming back. Mark Harris was jumping on and messed everything up. What the heck, Mark?
Well, I don't know. That's what happens.
I know that's what happens live, right? It's funny.
Yeah.
Last night, when I was on this by myself, I was like, man, these people are going to be so tired of hearing me ramble about stuff for, 45 minutes. And I ended up cutting it a little bit short because, with a race like this where it's a long time between TAs and times that they're seeing each other, once you kind of go over all the moves that people have done, there's not much more you can talk about.
No, I think that what I'm most excited about is that it's really easy to manage 44 people, the 12 teams that we had, and I'm really thankful that was the case, because if we had any more, Alaska is just difficult to navigate around and to get supplies. Holy crap, to try to get supplies for that many people. So, when I took over the C2C, we only had 22 teams the first year. Now we have 140. So, I think that I got my feet wet here. I know what to do now. I know how to save a shit ton of money. There's Alaska is very expensive, but we have found ways to be able to save money and hopefully get the cost down. In 2026, hopefully, obviously, too, our economy comes back so we can afford to do it in 2026. But we've learned so much. I've got all the kinks out now. So in 26, it's just going to be just come on, just don't even bother. Just sign up and make sure if it's on your bucket list, you got to do Alaska.
Well, Mark, hey, there he is. Ooh.
Sorry, Jeff. Just jumping all over you there, screwing up your broadcast.
No, man, never. So everyone at home, welcome Mark Harris to the broadcast.
Hey,
Yay, sir.
hey, you've been doing a good job. You really have. Been riveting. It's good. And I like your shirt, by the way. Don't listen to Jeff. Jeff has no dress sense either.
Anyway. So, Mark, let's talk a little bit about tracking because we've had some questions kind of along the way, and so tell us about like how the trackers are pinging, how they, how they're working, and how you are working on the backside to help make sure that everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah, so everyone has these little guys, so that the Garmin Messenger, and so they're pinging about every 10 minutes, and I can kind of if you want to share, I can kind of show you some of what we see on the back end.
Yeah,
Let me.
you can share your screen. I think you.
I always like to see what's on the back end. Oh, is this a children's show? I forgot.
Listen, they would not let me on a children's show.
I don't know. It's not letting me share my screen, so there's something there. Sharing is not turned on.
Let's see if that.
You gotta tweak the controls there.
I know. Let me work on it.
And I will say, so yeah, Jeff, you made a good point about the track. Like for this next section, when we don't necessarily know what it's going to be like, we use the kind of the orienteering convention of just joining the dots together, just to kind of make people know that that's all kind of one leg. And yeah, especially in an area like that, we don't have the maps, and I can't guess what people are going to do, because I'm guessing people are going to do all kinds of stuff in that area. And if we lay down like an exact track of where we think people are going to go, they're not going to go on it. So it's easier, like if there's a bike trail or something like that, or a road, it's super easy for us to kind of put a track down, and people usually follow it. But then in an area like it's like an orienteering course, or there's just so many choices that people can do, that's why you'll just see these straight lines join the dots together. So if people are like, what? Yeah, you're exactly right. There's no way someone's going to climb over that mountain, right? But we want to kind of indicate that that is kind of one leg that's kind of all part of the same thing. So that's kind of where they
could.
Well, they could, but they would be crazy.
Right? Yeah. It shows me
do that. That would be Hunter.
Yeah.
It shows me the ability to share, so I'm not sure what's going on.
I can do it now. So what we can look at, so you're actually talking about the A1 stuff. That's good. So we actually look at we got the analytics up on the back end. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So we can actually see where everyone's watching this event from, and we've got a pretty good viewership, right? So this is the United States. We're getting views from all over there. We got the guys down Australia and New Zealand crew. We've got a lot of people watching down there as well.
Welcome.
And quite a few people over in Europe as well. So yeah, we're actually getting pretty good viewership for this. This is actually good numbers. We're up to about 2,000 unique people who have been watching the tracking. So it's kind of nice to see some of that stuff. Some of our secret sauce on the back end. So this is kind of what we're looking at. We can see all our participants right here. And we know that they're using a Garmin. So one thing about the Garmin's that's a bit weird, and Jeff, make sure you're doing this, is we can't see how the batteries are. So with our cell trackers, we know the percentage left. And one reason we've actually set these trackers to 10-minute pings is because I'm hoping they're going to last, Jeff, like 80, 90 hours without having to charge them. Of course, you don't want any of these trackers to die on a long leg. So we're making sure that they're fully charged. But what you can see here is
we recharged them all at TA3.
Oh, perfect. Just out of interest, what were they at, Jeff? He's lost me. So we can kind of see that their heartbeat means it's good, and we've seen basically a ping from them probably in the last 20 minutes. But what we also can look at on the back end is we'll look at bones. We have this thing called a buffer map, and so what all these little dots show is every single ping that we get from the Garmin device, and you can go in, you can see that we're getting one every 10 minutes, so they're all date stamped. So this was like at 10:59 yesterday, and this is like 11:09, so 10 minutes later. So we kind of have all these little pings all the way through, and we connect the dots, literally the dots, so it looks like we can see where they're going. A little bit different about the Garmin trackers and what we use for our cell trackers is there's no caching on here. So if for some reason they miss a ping, like they can't connect to it, or it's in the bottom of their bag, or the time, that 10-minute interval when it's trying to send out that piece of data, if it does not come out, it's gone forever. it never tries to resend and it doesn't cache it. So that's why you'll see some gaps, you know. I think here this morning we lost them for like 1 or 2 pings through here. And maybe it's because they were in a canyon or they had it in the bottom of the bag or something like that. And so once we lose that, we can't get it back. But this is kind of what we're kind of watching on the back end, and seeing what's going on. At the same time, you know, we sometimes miss a ping, and so we can actually go and look at all the scoring that's going on the back end. So let's take up breaking butterflies. We can see that every checkpoint that they've been to, we can see that they missed 6 and 7. So we can come in here and we can adjust the times. And if I see that maybe we've missed a ping for some reason because they got close to a point, but we didn't get that score, I can come back here and adjust that. Now, I know Jeff would want me to sit in front of my computer for the next 7 days, updating this every minute, but I'm not. So if you guys are out there watching and you see something that's not up to date, it's probably because I'm eating a meal or something like that, you know, or sleeping.
How dare you, Mark?
That's great.
That's kind of some of the backup, but we've got an eye on it. You know, we're also kind of a backup for Jeff too, for safety. All these Garmin messages have a messaging on them 2-way, so and teams know they can send a message, they go to Jeff and his team, and they also come back to me, someone who has like service 24/7, and I'm fully connected. So if someone does send a message, right, I can relay that back to Jeff and make sure someone on his team is getting that too. So that's kind of another reason why we're using those trackers.
Well, I know we have a lot of family members who are watching, you know, maybe for the first time for an expedition race. And I know that safety has been a huge, you know, thought on everybody's mind because, you know, the water's cold, the weather's cold, like you know, like there's so many things that can go wrong. It's super thick. And knowing that there's that safety measure in place where even if they don't have cell phone service in some of these horrible places, these Garmin inReaches, they have the ability to message and reach out to somebody immediately. That should make people at home feel really good about that. And listen, we've all been a part of races or seen races that don't have good tracking, and so knowing that we have adventure enablers here to make sure that this is good. I mean, people don't know how good they've got it right now because, you know, they're getting to watch it like this. So
yeah, it's we try and do our best to make it come up. So
well, it's cool to see the back end. I know, like I went down to C2C last year with Jesse, and he nerds out over all of this stuff. He's like, we could do a whole AR 101 just on the tracking and talking all this stuff. Like a lot of this stuff is like, I don't worry about. I'm like, wait, there's push button, like, and that's what I try to do. But there's a lot of people at home that you're speaking their language right now, so I love it.
Yeah. I need to show you how you can measure a distance as well, Doug, on the map. So you can tell how people far away. You can pull up a map and there's a measuring tool. You can use that. I've been watching you struggling on guessing distances.
Listen, I don't struggle. I'm just, you know, I just make it up as I go. So,
you know, and that's a good tool for you, just because when you're looking at the map, especially in Alaska, and you see these people moving, you know, the one area that they were in, like last night, doing that entire bike, right? That is like an entire area for a 24-hour race. I mean, when you look at the scale of what's up there and you start seeing the distances between stuff and measuring stuff, it is just a massive area that you're looking at.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's hard to get perspective. I mean, it's people at home are going through what we do when you first get your maps and you start out on that first leg and you're like trying to get a feel for the distance on the map and the distance to like that next road or something like that and get that feel. It's even harder to do just on this tracker because like obviously this tracker is kind of condensed so that you can see everything that's going on in 5 days. So you really don't get the scale of it. So yeah, listen, teach me. I would love to learn. Anything else like unique that you've seen, especially from like this race with pings or thoughts on the tracking?
I will tell you, Jeff, I think you got good cell service up there. We could have used our cell trackers over most of it as well, and then you'd have had really good service. It's kind of weird. It's that one little area has some cell service. It's not everywhere, but when I actually pulled my maps back up, I was shocked that little area has relatively good cell service. But yeah,
We tried to stay within the AK1 corridor there, the Seward to Alyeska main road. We try to stay as close as possible. But when you get down into Russian, you get over Resurrection Trail, it's spotty out
It is
here a little
spotty,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, so you get these spots, but ultimately we know where all the cell phone coverage is, and we stop our cars and we do our messages, and then we just keep driving because we know there's some dead zones. But yeah, it's getting much, much better. I mean, Alaska, the roads have gotten all redone. They put in, like I said, they put in bike trails. They've widened the roads so that, people can, walk safely on the side. Tons and tons of pull-offs because people want to take photographs. So it's a lot of improvements that are happening, and cell phone towers are being constructed while we're in the race. There's construction right where our TA was. They're putting up a new tower and a new road. So, all that's just going to make for a better race in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but it's I mean, it is interesting. It's nice to see all the teams making forward progress too. So I mean, I'm wishing them the best of luck for the next. Still a long way to go, right?
Not one team has dropped out. Not one.
Yeah, I failed to discuss, I think, what happened with I think I talked about what happened with Coast to Coasters, how they got short coursed earlier, but
or just go out on a couple of little treks and come back. So
we lost you there for a couple minutes.
Oh, am I back?
Yep,
you're back.
Oh, like I was saying, pretty much after this big leg, I don't see anybody dropping out. They could pretty much get to the finish line within 15 miles from here.
What's the time thoughts on the next paddle?
You mean how long it's going to take?
Yeah.
Oh man, it is all of our estimates have been over and under. None of them have been dead on. Like a trek that Hunter and I did back in June, the grass was at our knees. But as you saw from Hunter's video, that same trail, it was over his head.
Yeah.
So everything grows so fast here because it can only grow for like 3 or 4 months and then it's dead. So it grows really, really fast. So it was overgrown. Teams struggled through there, where Hunter and I in June had no problem. So we were like, oh, it's only going to take 8, but it took 10. So this next section, I'm thinking 10 to 15 hours.
Okay. And then what for those people, because obviously, like we posted the video of Chip talking about making the decision to cut the Russia section so that they would have time for the glacier. Realistically, how much time do teams need to give themselves once they get back to Alyeska to be able to get up to the glacier and actually experience it? And of course he cuts out. Because Mark, I think that's the highlight of this race, and like being able to have that opportunity. So I'm hoping that teams prioritize that.
Yeah, and I was commenting like that. I think that's nice the way it's laid out, right? Obviously, I guess Jeff, everyone has all their glacier gear stashed back at the hotel, right? So you haven't had to move like crampons, rope gear, ice axes. So I'm guessing people will have time to go back there, reassess, like get all their gear together and really prepare for that final leg, which is a really nice way of doing it, right? It's they can really take stock of the way that they feel before they go out and do something that's quite extreme.
Yeah,
like
we gave each team a bin to stick all their glacier climbing gear in, so they didn't have to carry it the entire race. And it's stashed there at the TA6, which is actually the finish line.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you heard, I asked how much realistic time do teams need to leave to be able to get to experience the glacier at the end?
If they skip the lower trails, they can hike up there in 2 hours, and then it's a 10-hour glacier climb.
Okay, so they at least 14 hours left in the race to be able to experience it, right? 2 hours up, 10 hours, 2 hours down.
Correct. And there's 2 checkpoints up there on the glaciers. If they get up there and they don't feel like they have enough time and they don't feel comfortable, they can always turn around. It's not like they're going up and over something unknown. And also, too, we have a glacier guiding team that's going to be at Crow Pass already there, going with teams on this section.
So I think I covered this, but Angie posted in the comments that I didn't cover what happened with Coast to Coasters. So what happened with them is they got into TA2 and the time estimates that they were going to have to get through the trek section, the next paddle section to get to the bike wasn't going to give them enough time to be able to complete those courses and then still be on time. So Jeff and the team decided that they were going to short course them. And so they were moved into non-competitive because they were short course and they skipped sections. But I think they did it happily. Jeff, you can kind of speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, we try to give everybody options, but realistically, why spend the next 24 hours on a horrible section that you could pretty much move you ahead. And they're spreading our resources out really, really far, which becomes a safety issue. And so we consult them on it. We don't make the decision for them. They could just tell us, F you, and we're doing it, and we'll let them. But ultimately, it's consulting them and getting them to be convinced that they need to keep moving forward and let us help them.
So I hope that answers the questions. And I know it's tough when you're just watching the tracker and you're like, wait, they were just here. How did they get over there?
Yeah.
I've been in those situations and ridden in the back of a box truck to the next TA. And, it's never fun, but you also understand that there's a lot more racing left. And, like a lot of teams have talked about in this race, the key of this is to get to that glacier and be able to experience it. And if you
Yeah.
24 hours
Well,
on sections, you wouldn't.
Hey, Doug, in case my insurance agent heard that, you did not ride in the back of a box truck, okay?
I didn't say it was your box truck.
You rode in the
ride.
front. You rode in the front of the truck with a seatbelt on.
Correct. I was talking about my bike. My bike rode in the back of the box truck.
I think you were talking about your heritage.
So yeah, listen, we're doing our best trying to get interviews with teams along the course at the TAs, things like that. Obviously with resources as they are out there, and me not being able to be out there and hike with them and talk to them while they're moving and things like that. We're trying. So we would love to get everybody to be able to say hi to their families. I think at the 2:00 tomorrow, we might see a lot of people in TA5 there with you guys, Jeff. And, so maybe tomorrow's 2:00, if people are there, we go around and just talk to them if they want to spend a couple minutes.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Okay, so you can send messages via the Enabler website. And Sonia and Chris have been, we have a iPad here that we've been giving the messages to the racers, and we've seen laughter, we've seen tears, we've seen crying, hysterically. One of the guys had a birthday and the whole team forgot that it was his birthday. But since the messages came in, they were like, oh shit, I thought it was Jason's birthday. So
that's hilarious.
Keep sending the messages to them. They really, really enjoy them. When they come in and they're down and they're not feeling good, once we give them those messages, they pretty much perk right up and they're excited. They get a sandwich in them. They get some rest. They change their socks and shoes, and they're back on it like nothing happened. And that's what we need, is that type of support from your end.
Yeah, and
I mean, I've seen it. Like you just give people those messages, and they're like they light up. I can tell you, we've had over 300 messages come in so far, and that's pretty impressive for 8-9 teams that we've got. So Doug, you've probably shown people how to do it, but if people don't know, they can just go to the little envelope above the top, put in their team name, put in a comment, and send it. And like Jeff said, the guys on the ground are going to read those messages to those people, and they will get them.
Yeah, the very first broadcast, I actually showed everybody how to do it on the share screen. And we actually sent a message to this ability while we were live.
Okay, cool.
And listen, we've talked about that a lot. We talked about how once they're done with this race and they go back and they go through all of the coverage. I mean, Chip alluded to that in his video. He can't wait to just go back and read everything and see everybody's comments. So people, like, if you're watching this, get on our post, message on our post, get on the tracker, message on the tracker. You cannot send too many messages. And
No.
for those of you that are watching or tracking from Australia or in other parts of the world, send messages, because do you know how cool that is to be in Alaska and not even know who you are and have somebody across the world saying, man, you're crushing it. So like, I know how powerful it is. I hope all of you that are racers know how powerful it is. And let's blow up these teams, because listen, they've been at it. We've been at it 3 days watching them. They're about 2.5 days in, right? Right now, is that about right?
Yeah, 2.5.
So yeah, we're on day 3 of coverage, and we're not stopping till the end. We're going to continue our live broadcast both at 2 and at 8. We'll do some dot watching stuff in between. Feel free to message me at ar.watch if you have questions. I'll try to get some answers when I can talk to Jeff. I mean, Jeff can tell you, after our calls, like, we'll stay on for a couple minutes and just talk. And sometimes I just ask him some of the things that you guys are asking. So we appreciate it. Mark, thanks for jumping on tonight and sharing a little bit of wisdom with everybody about the trackers.
Yeah, no problem. You guys doing a great job, and Jeff, keep doing a good job up there, and good luck, and keep everyone safe. I'm gonna
Yep,
jump
we
off.
sure will.
All right, see you guys.
Thanks for joining
All
us,
right,
Mark.
see ya.
Man, I can't tell you guys how lucky you are to have this tracker and the support of Mark at a race like this. It really is second to none. And I mean, it makes my job easier. And I know the teams really appreciate it, because I mean, 300 messages over, 2.5 days is insane. So keep it up. Let's see if we can double
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it did it. Mark, in his service, we've had trackers, for over 2 decades in races, but we never had the portal. We never had the website services. We never had the back end support. We never had that to where, and we didn't have the ease of availability for the user to look at what's going on. It wasn't very easy. And so Mark has made it pretty straightforward for me as a race director to understand the technology and to integrate it, what to look for, how to deal with the hardware. And then then Mark has created a website that allows the user to be able to get in and see what they really want to see from their team and what's happening. Now, another thing that would be really great when we think about the future is that the messages get to the racers, but then the racers can message back, because in an expedition race like this, we always say race, but it's not really a race. It's a challenge. The pace is very, very, very slow. People are staying here for hours at the TAs doing things that they could they could sit and send messages and talk, and the pace isn't like a triathlon where you just come and throw your shoes in the air and hop on your bike and take off. So it's very relaxed, and I think that the technology will just get better to where we have more communication.
Well, and in our last couple of minutes on the show tonight, I want to talk, and maybe you can speak to this much better than I can. A lot of people at home are not really understanding that, like, wow, how can you go do this one stage for 14 to 18 hours, right?
Yeah.
Where you have to carry everything with you and do all of that. Cause I mean, they're doing that for a race, but this is one stage where they're going to be on their bike for this long. Talk a little bit about what that's like to get through an 18-hour, bike leg.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much a race for someone, one event. So when you look at, there's 11 legs to this race, it's like 11 races in a row, and each one of them being different. The best way to look at a 5-day expedition race like this is just break it up into small pieces. Think of it as, all I have to do right now is get to TA2, and what is it going to take to get there? And that's the goal. That's it. That's just, don't stop thinking about, oh my God, this is only day one. Oh my God, if this is how day one's going to be, I'm never going to survive day 5. That's BS. You will. You just keep thinking of it as small.
Yeah, he froze a little bit. Like, I would even second that in the fact that like with this big long bike leg, I might even have broken it down as to we just need to get over the pass and get to Hope. Once we get to Hope, we can stop and take a break. We can get something to eat, get off of our saddle, sit down, take a 30-minute nap, something that breaks it up. And then you go from Hope to the TA. Then the TA, you do the same thing. And you continue to move forward.
Oh, hey, sorry, lost you.
Oh, that's all right. I kind of continued what you were saying, and like
Go
I
ahead.
can break it down even further in this big long bike leg where I might have said, "Hey, look, we just get over the pass and into Hope. And in Hope, we can get off our bike for a little bit, we can get something to eat, we can take a 30-minute nap, whatever it is, then get back on the bike, get to the TA." So you can even break it down into smaller segments depending on how you're feeling.
Yeah, when I was racing, the number one thing that people would say towards the end of a big leg was there's like, I don't think I can continue. There's no way that I could go do 6 more legs of this. And you get them to the TA and you finish that small piece of the race, and it's like a reset. And when that person resets, then they go for another chunk.
Yeah.
And then they go for another. And then you get to the finish line 5 days later and go, hey, remember day 2 when you were crying and you said you couldn't go any further?
Yeah.
You went a lot further. So it's just mind over what the body's telling you. Yes, the body is telling you to stop, eat donuts, and go to sleep. No doubt. But you can't do that. You got to just keep moving forward, and you'll be surprised how far you can go.
Yeah, and never make a decision in your lowest point, right? Like when you're hurting the most or you're the most tired or things like that. I mean, even in Chip's video, I thought it was pretty insightful, which I don't know if a lot of people caught, but he said, "We think we're going to do this, but what we're going to do is we're going to go bank 3 hours of sleep, and then we're going to wake up and we're going to discuss it." Because they were all making he said they were making bad decisions because they were tired. So
Yes.
go get some sleep. They got some food in their bellies. They went and got to sleep. And then they came back. And then you're able to make a more educated decision about what you should do. And if that is still the best, if what your course of action thought was to begin with is still the same course of action, then you know that it's 100% right.
Yep.
So Jeff, this was awesome tonight. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks again to Mark Harris for jumping on and giving us all insight into the tracker that we have been glued to for the past 2.5 days. I hope that everybody tonight gets some sleep. And while their racers are pushing over the Resurrection Pass over to Hope, and they will probably still be moving and still be heading that way when we all wake up tomorrow. I know the first thing that I do when I wake up is turn on the tracker and see where everyone is. Sometimes even if I like wake up in the middle of the night to pee, I look at my phone, but I don't want to dig in too much because then I'll be up for another hour.
Yeah.
So
Well, Doug, we can say now by the end of the day today, which is way late for you, but by the end of the day today and early tomorrow morning, the hard part is over.
Yep.
So we are only 15 miles from the finish from here. It is going to be nothing but fun from here on out. It's fun stuff. Paddling up to a glacier, fun. Going up and over the overlook at Whittier, fun. All coming down the river on a whitewater paddle, which is only like class 1, fun. All of that. We get over to the Alyeska Resort. They've got to climb to the top of the resort. Nothing but fun. The glacier, fun. So all of that is up to them. They can stop at any time and go to the finish line and say, that's it, I'm finished. So the hard part will be over with by tomorrow morning.
Well, that's awesome. We will be back live tomorrow at 2 o'clock for our short update in the afternoon. We'll be doing a dot watching post at 8 o'clock Eastern time in the morning. And then we will talk to everybody at 2 tomorrow. So thank you guys for all continuing to follow along with Expedition Alaska. Continue to follow AR Dot Watch. Continue to follow Warrior Racing. And we will see everyone tomorrow. Have a great night.
Bye-bye, everybody.